Good morning, everybody. This is Chattin with CHAP, and I'm your host, Ginger Wade. Today, we are going to tackle the topic of portfolios, the log, and 180 days, and what that means and how to go about tackling that. So, let's get right in. Portfolios. So, hopefully none of you out there are feeling terrified about putting together a portfolio. So, I know we might think of portfolios. When I think of portfolios, I think of like artists, and they have those big, huge folders with their magnificent work that they have in there, and that's what they give to potential employers and stuff like that. When we are talking about a portfolio for homeschooling, it's just a sampling of the work that your child has completed over the years. So if you go to homeschoolpennsylvania.org and you read the law, there's a section in there. You can go to the portfolio page too. You don't have to go to even the basic law page. Go to the portfolio page, and right there is the little section that talks about the law. You can read it word for word. I'm going to list some things now that come from that statement of the law, but it's very simple. So what goes into a portfolio? What's the purpose of a portfolio? First of all, it's to show the evaluator samples of your work throughout the year. Okay, so what should those samples be? So it should consist of the log, which I will talk about in a minute, test results, and the test results are only for grades 3, 5, and 8, or when your child is approximately when they would be in 3, 5, and 8 in public school, because we don't always use grades. And if you want to know more about testing, please check out Chattin with CHAP episode 8. Or I will soon be redoing it and adding some more information about doing testing at home. But anyway, test results go in the portfolio. That was my point for today's video. Writing samples. So if your child did some writing, put some samples in. Worksheets, math worksheets, history worksheets, science worksheets, any kind of worksheet you did, you can put some samples in. Creative materials. This can be art projects. This could be science projects, things you built, things that are not a sheet of paper. Okay, it could have been a book that they made. It could have been a weaving that they've done. It could be a diorama that explains a book that they read. Anything like that can be included in creative materials. And then pictures of projects. So like if you've done a lot of big projects or taken field trips or anything like that that doesn't carry well to your evaluation, you can take photos of that. So my family, what we do every year is we call ourselves Wade Academy. So I make a Wade Academy book every year on Snapfish. So I take pictures throughout the year, and then I upload those pictures onto Snapfish, and I put together a cute little book. I always take a beginning of the school year picture. Some people do it at the end. I always forget at the end. Put them all together. You can show science experiments and field trips and plays that they were in and recitals, and if there was a graduation, and anything you can think of to put in there to show all the learning that your children have done in that year is a great thing to put into like a picture book or pictures to put into a portfolio. Something to note, you do not need to put in all of your papers. Please do not inundate your evaluator with all of your papers. We collect a lot of papers, so I do keep my papers throughout the year, and the notebooks get to be, this big. Like we have a lot of sheets, but the portfolio is not that big. I pull stuff out of that, samples out of that, and put it into the portfolio. Like if my child did a grammar course, I'll pick a few sheets that show different types of things that they did in grammar, or it could be contractions, could be diagramming, it could be, learning compound words, whatever. And I just set samples of different types of grammar work that they've done. If they've done a book report or a few book reports, or for my older kids with papers, I'll put in a rough draft and a final draft so they can see that, the evaluator can see that my child went through the editing process and that sort of thing. So it does not have to be everything. What I have found for my older students, if you have older students who are dual enrolling, a lot of times their stuff is online. I kind of feel at that point, since your child is taking a college course, the evaluator probably doesn't really need to see much for that. So I've put in 1 or 2 samples, whatever my kids happen to have at home, which was rarely much. because a lot of it is online. But I do put in a little bit of something, and then a grade report from the college, that type of thing. So if they're taking a class, the dual enrollment class or a co-op class where the teacher gives you a syllabus and an end of the year or a midterm grade sheet, if they send you something in email, I print those things out and I put them in just to show that, I wasn't teaching it, but the work was viewed and graded by someone else. So I do put that in my portfolios too. So then the evaluator checks out the portfolio, and really they're just checking to see that the compliance for the law, which shows progress. It doesn't have to be at a particular level or grade, just needs to be progress throughout the year. They'll just check to make sure you did the test. They don't check to see what the test results were. And they check the log, which we will talk about right now. So the log is simply this. It is a list of all the books that you used for academics. And I said all, but it doesn't even need to be all the books. Like if you guys go to the library and take out 75 books a week, and because you read tons of those little, picture books with your little ones, don't feel like you need to list all of them. Now, if you want to, some people save that little ticker tape that you print out, that you took out this, and this. They save those and staple them in there and look at all the books that we read. Sure, if you want to do that, go ahead and do that. But really the log is just a list of the books you use for academic purposes. And that's it. You don't have to explain the lessons you did or the pages you used or magazines or videos or anything. It just says books. That's what the law states about the log. That's it. And that's simple. And that goes right into the portfolio. So let's talk a minute about the 180 days. Some people get concerned about the 180 days. There has been discussion. I've always done a calendar to check off the days, and I stick that in the portfolio so the evaluator can see it. I have a friend, we had a discussion at convention about it, and she said to me, well, your affidavit attests to it. It says, and it does, if you use the CHAP affidavit or the unsworn declaration, both of them say, we will do instruction for 180 days and 900 plus hours. And you're signing that, you're attesting to that, which means you are promising to do it, or you'll make sure that it gets done. So that really should be all the proof you need. But it kind of goes with what the evaluator is looking for. So you have an evaluator that really wants that chart or that calendar, then I guess you need to do what your evaluator wishes you to do, unless you discuss it with them. Some evaluators, whatever, they don't care, and that's fine. So just so you are aware of that 180 days things. Now, you need to be aware that there's no magical thing about 180 days. Okay? It's not like plucked from the sky as the most amazing amount of education that can be accomplished in a year with a child is 180 days. Actually, if you look at different states, some states go less, some states go more. So it's really just up to the state. They've decided, hey, this is a good number. Let's go with that. I know that, I think it's Kansas has fewer dates, and I bet you I know why. I bet you it's because a lot of the kids are helping on the farm, and they got to go work. When you think to one-room schoolhouse times, I don't even know that they went for half the year. Sometimes they only went for a few months in the winter, and they learned what they could when they could. Because they were so dependent upon the work to be done on the farm to survive. So there's no magical thing about the 180 days. So don't get super worked up about that. Another thing to remember about learning is that it's happening every day. Whether it is your scheduled, sit down with your book, let's read this story, let's do this worksheet, planned out day, or it's, we're cleaning the house because this place is a disaster, or we're going to go serve at the food bank, or we're going to go visit people at the nursing home. Any of those things count because they're all learning. They're all growing. The children are growing. You're growing. You're all learning to serve, and those things are all good for all of you. So getting the 180 days in is very simple. Let me check my notes here. It says about the supervisor saying what a day is. Supervisor is you. You get to determine how long a day of school is. They say like 900 hours, but like I said, when you're constantly learning and you're constantly learning different things, you get oodles of hours in. It doesn't have to be traditional hours, which would mean like, 8 to 3, or 9 to 4, whatever it is that your school district does. It doesn't have to, your learning does not have to happen in those hours. If you work and your husband works and you do the most learning and activity things together on the weekend and the evenings, that's great. You don't have to abide by a public school schedule. You have freedom to do what works for your family, which is part of the beauty of homeschooling. Okay, so let's talk about what can count towards school. I talked about a few things a few seconds ago. I'm going to read a little list to you just so you can start thinking like, wow, like think outside the box here. Think about just life and all that life is about and learning. So you can use textbooks, you can do read alouds, you can do audiobooks, projects, unit studies. A unit study is where you take a subject like pirates and everything you do is about pirates. You read books about pirates, you write papers about pirates, you do copy work about pirates. Maybe you come up with math cargo problems about pirates, or you make up little stories, little novellas or something. I don't know, science about ships or something, or weather and how they steered their ships. I don't know. That's a unit study. They're fun if you haven't done them before. Hands-on activities, anything where you're making and using hands. Field trips, time outdoors, virtual work if you're on the computer. Videos, Sunday school, VBS, camp, work, volunteering, library trips. There's so many things that, I use these air quotes, count as homeschooling, as learning. Just think outside the box. We really have to shed our preconceived notion about what school is supposed to look like and what is valid learning. There's so many things, and life is learning. You're constantly learning new things, how to do new things. The easiest example of this is technology. Us older people who were born and lived for many years without technology, we're learning. Because there's constantly new technology coming out. Everyone's learning. The kids pick it up faster than we do, but we can still do it. I can still learn how to do things. And that's a great thing to show your children, that you are constantly learning new things. It shows them that they will be constantly learning new things. So it's very easy. A friend of mine also pointed out, if you start July 1st. So the school year runs July 1 through June 30, right? So if you're coming in and you start July 1st and you're counting learning that happens every single day, technically by the law, then you're done by December 27th, which is kind of a chuckle, because you're learning every day. 180 days from July 1st is December 22nd. So that's a funny thing to note on the side for you if you're thinking about learning every day. So the point in sharing that is just to say, do not be stressed out about the 180 days. And another thing to remember is the school runs 180 days. Some of those are in-service days where teachers are learning, but the kids aren't. And some of those days the kids are out sick. And they're not there, and they don't make those days up. And sometimes it's PSSA week or 2 weeks or however long it takes, where they do tests for half the day and they watch movies for the other half of the day because test taking is stressful. So just, don't put a lot of pressure on yourself with 180 days. So it's not that bad. There's lots of freedom in homeschooling. The days is loose. The requirements, if you haven't read them on homeschoolpennsylvania.org, go ahead and read them. Very loose. Make sure you're reading what they really say, and reading them in a general way. So if you have questions, please write in to me. You can comment here. You can Facebook inbox me. You can use our contact form at chaponline.com. I would love to hear your questions, either about this topic for today or other law-related issues. We're here to support you. CHAP is here to support you. We're here to answer your questions and to give you what you need to be able to do your homeschool journey and encourage others to take on the challenge of the homeschool journey, because you will never regret having your children home with you. You will not regret going through this season with them of learning together and growing, and of course following Christ in all of life. So thank you for tuning in today. That's all I have to share. Pretty simple things. Portfolio, just throw in some samples, the log, and your test scores. And the log, simple book list, in 180 days, piece of cake to get those accomplished. So Remember, we are here to support you. homeschoolpennsylvania.org, chaponline.com. Lots of Chat with Chat videos here for you to watch. And if you have a request for one that you would like me to do, a topic you would like to hear, comment below or inbox me, because I'm happy to tackle new subjects that I haven't got my hands on yet. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next Tuesday. Bye now.